So what is the origin of the Maori?
The origin of the Maori?
Yeah.
So we're the native people of New Zealand. We have travelled from Hawaii, our traditional homeland, to Aotearoa, New Zealand, and we've been there for over 1,000 years. And yeah, so we are the first people of the land.
So the language was very near extinction, right?
Yes.
And how did you guys revitalize them, get them, save them?
We had a program called Kohanga Reo, which translates as a language nest, and it was actually started by a group of mothers, grandmothers, who were concerned about their grandchildren not growing up with the language. And it was started in the homes and literally was the idea of a language nest is around like a bird feeding, a mother bird feeding its children. That was the point, was that the mothers and grandmothers were feeding their children the language. And so from there it's grown.
And was the problem only with the language disappearing or the culture too?
The culture too. We had a lot of legislation in New Zealand which suppressed our ability to practice who we were. And the language as well followed with that as well.
How did the tribe innovate and reach success in business, and how did that work in the context of New Zealand?
Probably in the last 30 years, the Crown has recognised and provided a response to grievances that were seen in colonisation over the 2 centuries in New Zealand. So a number of different tribes have received settlements with the Crown that have enabled their opportunity to participate in the economy. Most of those opportunities have been paralleled, I would classify, in Western development. So property development, tourism, involved in fishing, a number of core businesses that New Zealand are known for. So we have purchased, partnered and developed new ranges of regime and Māori business. But I think the next iteration moving forward in the next century is not necessarily participating solely in a Western economy, but creating our own economy, how we utilise land, how we create jurisdiction of land, and how we create fiscal power that contributes to national good. Because I think the Indigenous excellence and well-being is an incredibly important contribution to New Zealand as a whole. If the Indigenous experiences...
Not only New Zealand.
Not only New Zealand, that's in an international sense,
yes.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about the persecution, the Indigenous both here and in New Zealand?
I think our experiences, while we have similar experiences, we also have quite unique contexts within which those experiences are located. So we have experiences of colonisation similar to the Indigenous peoples here, but the difference is that the scale within which those experiences have happened are quite different. So for us, geographically, we're very small and quite contained, and we were the majority population when we were first colonised. So I think it's been much easier for us to retain our culture and our language. Plus, even though we are from different tribes, we do speak a common language, whereas here, there are so many different unique Indigenous languages, Indigenous groups, very distinct, and so the challenges, I think, are much greater. And Brazil is such a huge country, so the diversity of population across the landscape is so much different to ours. So I think for us it's humbling to be here, to understand the scale of and the depths, I guess, of resilience that the Indigenous peoples here are demonstrating. And really for us, it's humbling to be a part, to be witness to what they are experiencing in their own land. Mm.